Hey guys, Corey Camel ADV, continuing with our fork swap on the Africa Twin. So almost everything is done. I've been waiting for over 3 weeks now for a brake bracket. So it's an axial to radial mount so that I can put the stock Honda Africa Twin caliper back on the KYB forks. But it has just taken forever and the tracking has totally stalled out, so I have no idea where this piece is. And I haven't started to do anything with it because I keep thinking tomorrow it'll show up, tomorrow it'll show up. It's been 3 weeks, over 3 weeks. So it's time to move on. Picked up some pieces of 6061 aluminum and I'm going to see what I can do to make a mount. Could be awesome, could be total joke, I don't know. I don't know what to expect anyway, but I'm pissed off enough that I'm just going to go ahead and do it this way. I'm totally out of patience waiting for the other bracket. So the Africa Twin stock has 2 brake rotors, 2 calipers, and the dirt bike stuff of course has 1 mount, and it's an axial mount. So this is how things should work. This guy should bolt in here like that, and then the rotor attaches here. The spacing side to side is off by over 1/4 inch, and it puts the caliper right into the spokes. The center of this is almost on the center of that. It's super close. So I think this is going to work out really well. The first thing is we're going to cut a piece of this to kind of mimic this. So we'll put this on the back side and go from there. Normally I have a much better plan of attack before I started the project. And I'm just kind of down to the wire on here, leaving in a few days for a 2-week bike trip, and so need this done. And I figure that if I start doing it ahead of time, so I know if I kind of have a plan for it, that I'm going to start working on it, and then it'll be done, and I won't have any video showing you guys what I'm up to. So this video is going to be a little bit sketchy and sporadic, I think, is what's going to happen. I know that the spacing from here to here is 102 mil, so I'm just going to mark at the ticks here. This is the center line of that bolt hole, this is the center line of that. I'm going to draw a line. I'm going to mark, figure out where center is here, and then I'll measure back to get the 102, and then I get this piece bolted on and get it kind of cut out a little bit smaller, and then we can start working on the bigger chunk. So we've got the base here, and we need to cut this guy to fit on here. So my bandsaw has a base plate on here. We can turn this into an upright. So that's what we're going to do. And I can cut the aluminum by hand. Try and keep it in a straight line, which is easier said than done. So that's about the height that the caliper is going to be. I do have a little bit of rubbing here. And it is actually exactly on one of the high spots from the saw. Mark where that bolt is. Lots of clearance there, so that's good. It's going to work out well. I'm going to cut a piece of cardboard to fit in this area here, and then I'm going to trace it onto the chunk of 3/4. Set a piece of paper in behind here. So that's pretty damn close there. So I'm trying to line the meat of the pad up on the wear line here, so I know exactly where this guy should sit, and just so I know that it's in the same spot it was from the factory. So we're going to cut this guy out roughly where it needs to be. I'm going to make it a little bit taller. Give myself a little more room to work. I'd rather, as hard as this material is and a pain in the ass to work with, I'd rather make it a little bit too big and then have to go at it with the die grinder or file to get it sorted out, then have to recut. So this is a bit of a pain in the ass. I want to make use of this nice flat straight edge here because that's going to be the bolting surface for the caliper. So I'm going to end up marking it and drilling down that way through it. And it almost makes more sense to stick it in the drill press right now in the vise when I have a nice flat bottom here and I know that it's going to be exactly where it needs to be. Then try to do this later when it's this shape, trying to grab it in the vise and trying to drill down. So Nissan has a parting line right on here out of the mold. So that's going to give me center line. So I'm going to slide the caliper on. And then I can transfer the center line of the caliper onto the fork lug. So I can measure from this surface here over to this line, and then I can transfer that onto our new piece. I can drill the holes in it. I won't tap them, I'll drill them to size though. And then I can go about cutting the shape, and I won't have as much issue getting things straight and square and true in the drill press when I drill the caliper holes. 8.3 millimeters from that edge. So I can come up top here, and with the calipers locked, I can run a line. Like so. You see that? Come on. Take my word, it's there. And then the caliper spacing on that one is 100. Need to make sure that we have enough room here. I'm going to put a tick there. And open my calipers up to, open these up to 100. So we've got our punch mark here. I'll take the calipers again, set to 100. And we're gonna do that. And that spot right there is exactly 100 mils away. So this may be the most annoying camera for trying to shoot video with, and it just shuts off, it just randomly shuts off. So I have no idea how much video we got or what we didn't. The holes are drilled here with the pilot bit. The caliper bolts are M10-125 pitch. So we need to run an 8/8 drill bit to get that threaded properly. Perfect. Not the cleanest tap that I have. It's got some pretty brutal wear on it, but I'll make it work here. So just looking at this, the amount of space that's between the block and the caliper mount, and it's about 4 millimeters. So we need to take about 4 millimeters out of here to get these to sit down properly. Oh, that was a lot of messing around. Big ugly block here now. Still got a little bit of clearancing to do right in here, but my burr is all plugged up with aluminum, and I don't feel like cleaning it right now. That should fit like that. So my plan, drill a hole there and about there, and then drill through both of them and tap the backside. Planning on doing. Now, alright, the moment of truth. Or one of the moments of truth, I suppose. Yeah, these bolt locations in the indexing this way is super important. So the pads are sitting square on the rotor. So I drilled and tapped that guy, countersunk this one, and once this one is in, then we can pivot and adjust. So do some fine tuning. And hopefully it's not too far off, because if it's way off, I'm going to have to rebuild one of these pieces, and I don't want to do that. So when I keep sticking my head under here, just trying to line the pad up with the wear mark on the rotor. I think right there is the spot. So we're going to tighten this up. And I'm going to get the drill again, and I'm going to mark that spot. I'm going to go over, drill, tap, countersink. I'm happy with the way this has turned out so far. The location of the caliper works well with the rotor. The pads are sitting nice and square on the rotor in the wear mark. It's the spacing back and forth, everything's good. I do need to change the back bracket. Need to add a little bit of material in a few spots and trace it out so it matches the front a little bit better. So these are pretty awesome. These are index punches. When they come in a bunch of different sizes. I'm missing a bunch, but you find one that fits your hole size perfectly. Like that, and then it's got the punch point on it, so it doesn't matter what the hole size is, you're going to transfer it exactly in the center of your new piece. And that's unfortunate. I can just barely, almost get that one in, but not quite. So these four here are perfectly lined up with that. Just gonna check everything again last minute. So I had to cut down the factory bolts. Fine thread stainless is unobtainium. Can't find it anywhere. Nobody even lists it. And all I could find was black oxide. I couldn't even find any zinc plated, so I've got these cut down for now, and we'll replace them with more appropriate bolts when I find them. We've got our high fender mount hose guide here as well. And we're going to install our speed sensor at the same time. We're going to bolt through our P-clamps. And put fork guards on. So I'm going to put a P-clamp backwards on this one here just to help guide this speed sensor wire. Something I forgot to do the last time I had the wheel off is remove the second rotor. Because of the location of the mounting boss here for the fork guards, it's easiest to put these in with the front wheel out. Give our bracket a wiggle here, make sure that the spacing's good, and then we can tighten this up. I'm not going to tighten these up because I'm not able to give the bike a good balance with the front brakes to line the forks up to make sure that they're parallel. If you tighten these clamps up, this axle's not in the right spot on the clamp, you can get some binding and some terrible suspension action. So it's always best to give the bike a bounce to get these all set up before you tighten these. So I have to wait till it's off the stand and the rear shock is installed to do that. So that's the end of episode 4. We've got the front end buttoned up with the exception of torquing up our axle clamps. The only thing left to do is bleed the brakes, and I need to notch the front skid plate right at the front here. The tire is contacting the skid plate at full compression. So the last thing I want is to hit a big bump and then have the front tire lock up because it pounds into the skid plate. Obviously, you look at the bike here, we're waiting for our rear shock to show up. That should be here any day, and then we can wrap the project up. If you have any questions about the project, info@cameltank.com. Thanks for watching.